Hey folks, Colin here from Sumthins Recording, and today we're going to do something kind of interesting, kind of unique, at least for me. We're going to be looking at the new Gold Clip plugin by Schwabe. Now, I'm not one for usually doing plugin reviews, but this company reached out to me asking me if I wanted to try out this plugin, and I really took an interest in this plugin. This is the plugin here. It's called Gold Clip, and it actually has some pieces in it that emulate the old Lavery Gold clipping unit. And I took an interest in that because one of my favorite engineers as I was coming up, and still one of my favorite engineers, is Dave Pensato on Pensato's Place and all his Into the Layers. And he would always rave about the old Lavery Gold whenever he did a video about clipping. So this kind of, just struck my eye when it came across my email inbox. So I wanted to give it a shot here, and I wanted to show it off for you guys and really see what this can do. You're going to get my first reactions here. I haven't tried the plugin yet. I've literally just pulled it into my DAW here, just downloaded it. And we're going to give it a shot on this mix here. I've got it on my mix bus here. So we're going to put it through its paces and see what each of the pieces of this plugin can do and what it can do for our track here. But before we dive into the plugin, if you are ready to go a little bit deeper into the mixing process and really start dialing in your workflow as an audio engineer, then I have just the thing for you. It is my 7-step mixing checklist, and it's just a simple PDF that will walk you through the entire mixing process step by step to help you get professional and radio-ready mixes without any more of the hassle and without any more of the guesswork. It is a completely free guide, and you can download it below using the link in the video description. Now let's jump in here and explore some of the components of Gold Clip here. So again, this is by Schwabe Digital. It's called Gold Clip, and it's a clipping plugin. It kind of looks like it has some limiter, compression functionality to it too. We've got this gold knob and this alchemy knob down here. It looks like it's going to show us the LUFS number of our input and output. We've got a max clip and minute and second, ceiling, input, output. We've got wet dry, which is really, really cool here. It looks like we have the ability to mute the wet and the dry as well when we mix between them, so we can link or unlink those. It looks like we can link the input and output too. That's cool. We'll go with that for the moment, and then we'll kind of see if we can use it the same way I'm using my limiter at the end of the chain here. I've got the Gold Clip right before my limiter. We're going to use it like a standard clipping plugin first, and then we'll see if we can push it to use it in place of a limiter, because that would be really, really nice as well. We've got a couple different options over here. Of course, the bypass to turn on and off the plugin. And then we've got box tone, clipper, and gold. So I'm assuming this is working in conjunction with the gold knob here. We've got unity down here as well for the gold knob, so that might add some gain as well. Let's kind of just jump in here. I'm going to hit play. I'm going to set my ceiling down to -1. That's where I would normally set any kind of limiter ceiling. We've got our input and output linked here. I'm going to push up 6 dB, which is how I would usually push into the ceiling on my limiter. And we're going to see what we get in terms of clipping and just see what it sounds like straight out of the box here, just pushing the input up into our ceiling here. Let's take a listen.
1, 2, 3, won't you look at me? 4, 5, 6, tell me when will you miss? 7, 8, 9, no it ain't fine. 10, I can pretend. 1, 2, 3, won't you look at me? 4, 5, 6, tell me when will you miss? 7, 8, 9, no it ain't fine. 10, I can pretend. 1, 2, 3, won't you look at me? 4, 5, 6, tell me when will you miss? 7, 8, 9, no it ain't fine. 10, I can pretend.
Straight out the gate here, I love the analyzer. We can see where we're getting our clips. We can see pretty much what is pushing the hardest into our ceiling here. It looks like our bigger transients are what are getting clipped at the moment. So that's going to be our kick drum, snare drum, and then maybe the top end of our vocal there as everything pushes up together. There's some really cool features here. I love that it shows you how much we're clipping at the moment. So our clip is 2.9 dB is what we were getting there at the end. It shows you how much we're going over the ceiling here. This down here I think is really cool. I was keeping an eye on this as it's looping around, but if you're kind of trying to set any kind of limiter or any kind of compression to, I'm usually looking for the loudest peak or the loudest transient in the track, because that's where I want to set the limiter, the clipper, the compressor to do the most work. And this plugin is actually showing you where that is. So it's showing us the max clip, 2.95 dB, and it's happening at 3 minutes and 40 seconds. So if I listen through the whole track with this plugin running, it would show me at what time the maximum clip is happening, at what time we're getting the biggest transient or the loudest peak, and I can loop that area and work on that area the most. So I can set the clipper to do the most work on the max clip or the biggest transient, and that way I'm not setting it in a softer area, and then when that bigger transient comes by, suddenly the clipper does more work. That's a really cool function to have. I like that it's showing us the LUFS numbers of the input and output too. Right now, of course, they're even because we're pushing 6 dB in and then pulling 6 dB out on the output to keep our gain structure balanced. We're sitting at around about negative 19 LUFS here.
1, 2, 3, won't you look at me? 4, 5, 6, tell me when will you miss? 7, 8, 9, no, it ain't fine. 10, I can pretend. 1, 2, 3, won't you look at me? 4, 5.
So LUFS numbers are looking really good. If you are using this as, a limiter, if you're using it in mastering, it's nice to be able to see the LUFS numbers on the input and the output, so you know what LUFS numbers you're pushing out of this unit. It's a very, very important number. If you're sending your track out to streaming, Spotify, iTunes, you want to know the LUFS numbers. This is good for my mix. I'm usually sitting at around negative 19 LUFS in my mix. And then, of course, when I go to mastering, I'm up towards negative 14, negative 13 there. Now, sound-wise, just default settings here. Haven't messed with any of the box tone or clipper settings or anything like that. Just pushing into the ceiling. We're clipping about 3 dB on the bigger peaks there, which is mostly our kick drum. It's sounding really, really nice. I want you to listen one more time here, and I'm going to A/B this plugin back and forth. Pay attention to the top end on our kick drum here. So without and then with. Listen to how our kick drum changes that top end transient.
1, 2, 3, won't you look at me? 4, 5, 6, tell me when will you miss? 7, 8, 9, no, it ain't fine. 10, I can pretend. 1, 2, 3, won't you look at me? 4, 5.
It's subtle, but I feel like it's giving me more attack and a little bit more punch on that top end of my kick drum. So as that transient's pushing into the clipper, as it's clipping the top end of the kick drum transient, I'm getting more of that attack and more of that click on the kick drum, which feels really, really nice. It adds some extra punch to the kick drum. That's awesome to see. Now let's kind of go through some of these settings over on the side here. Box tone, we have 3 settings, it looks like. We're on flat now. Then we have classic, and we have modern. So classic, it looks like it kind of a top end roll off on tone. And then modern's the same thing, but it looks like there's some ripple effect there, which could be cool. So let's kind of cycle through these as I hit play and see what it's sounding like. See how it changes, how the clipper's reacting to our transients here, and how it's reacting to our peaks, and how it changes the tone of the track.
1, 2, 3, won't you look at me? 4, 5, 6, tell me when will you miss? 7, 8, 9, no, it ain't fine. 10, I can pretend. 1, 2, 3, won't you look at me? 4, 5, 6, tell me when will you miss? 7, 8, 9, no, it ain't fine.
Cycling through them here, I'm going back and forth between the box tones, so they're flat and modern. Classic is definitely you hear that smoothness, that rounding factor, that top end roll off. Now that would be really really nice if I wasn't using a couple other analog modeling plugins. So I use mostly stock plugins. I've got the console shaper running here from Studio One, and then the only third party plugin I'm using at the moment, of course, besides Gold Clip, is the tape machine from Softtube. And those two plugins together are giving me some analog vibe. Now, if I wasn't using anything else besides Gold Clip, I'd probably like this classic tone because it gives you that smoothness and that rounded feeling on the top end. So it's not so digitally harsh and you don't get that sort of digititis sort of sound from mixing in the box. It gives you some analog feel, gives your mix some roundness. But I've already got some of that going on, so I don't necessarily need more roll off on the top end. But modern, the roll off doesn't feel as aggressive on the top, but the little ripple effects coming down towards the high mids work really nicely on the vocals and on the snare drum. So I'm going to flip from modern to flat here and see what I like. So kind of pay attention to the high mids and then of course our top end as well as we go from modern to flat on our box tone.
1, 2, 3, won't you look at me? 4, 5, 6, tell me when will you miss? 7, 8, 9, no it ain't fine. 10, I can pretend. 1, 2, 3, won't you look at me? 4, 5, 6, tell me when will you miss? 7,
I like both of them, but I'm leaning more towards the flat here because I do like that top end, and I don't necessarily need that roundness and that roll off as I am running through other analog modeling plugins. But again, if I didn't have anything else running here, if this was my only plugin that was giving me some analog vibes, some emulation, I would definitely reach for classic or modern there and get some of that ripple effect as it reaches down towards the high mids. It felt like it gave me some emphasis on the high mids on the vocal, and especially on the snare drum, I felt like I heard the crack of the snare drum better. So really, really cool stuff there. Moving down now, we have a couple different functions for how the clipper reacts as we push the peaks into it here, as push the peaks into our ceiling. We're running on classic at the moment here. We've got modern. Modern looks a little softer overall, looks really smooth. And then, of course, hard is going to be more aggressive. So let's go through the three of these and see what different tones we get from pushing peaks into the ceiling here.
1, 2, 3, won't you look at me? 4, 5, 6, tell me when will you miss? 7, 8, 9, no it ain't fine. 10, I can pretend. 1, 2, 3, won't you look at me? 4, 5, 6, tell me when will you miss? 7, 8, 9, no it ain't fine. 10, I can pretend.
I'm digging modern here. Modern feels the most smooth overall to me. It feels like it's very transparent. It does the least amount of work. Classic feels really, really nice. Of course, hard kind of clamps down on some of those transients. Too much for me. I'm not liking the way the kick drum sounds as it pushes into the harder clipper setting there. But what might be nice, and we can try here, since we do have this dry wet knob, let's see if we go to the hard setting here and maybe push really hard into the ceiling here. So dial our input all the way up, maybe crank the ceiling down, see if we can, crush with the clipper here and maybe use the wet dry knob and kind of mix together. So we're on hard now. Let's see if we can get some aggression out of this.
1, 2, 3, won't you look at me? 4, 5, 6, tell me when will you miss? 7, 8, 9, no it ain't fine. 10, I can pretend. 1, 2, 3, won't you look at me? 4, 5, 6, tell me when will you miss? 7, 8, 9.
That's really cool. On the hard setting here, just crushing it with our ceiling here, pushing all the way in on the input. We're getting 15, almost 16 dB of clipping here. You can see our max clip is 15.89. We're at 15.9 up here. That's sounding really, really mean, really, really aggressive. This would be something cool to use, maybe crushing drum room mics or paralleling in on vocals or bass or something. Really, really cool here that we can push it that hard and get some aggression out of it. But it doesn't feel harsh. It still feels smooth.
1, 2, 3, won't you look at me? 4, 5, 6, tell me when will you miss? 7, 8, 9.
It's a nice, sweet kind of distortion that would be cool to mix in with something. Maybe get more top end on bass or to get some aggression on vocals. Very, very cool there. Let's go back now and move on to our gold setting here and explore what this knob is doing. I'm interested to see here. So let's pull this back down. Also, just a side note, I do like that we can type into settings here. That's cool that we can get it set exactly where we want it there. So we'll put this back at modern. That was the one I was digging the most for the clipper settings. And we have two settings here. So we have modern and classic. I'm going to see if they do anything first without dialing up this gold knob, see if they have any independent sound change. And then we'll dial up the gold knob here and see what each one sounds like.
1, 2, 3, won't you look at me? 4, 5, 6, tell me when will you miss? 7, 8, 9, no it ain't fine. Town I can pretend. 1, 2, 3, won't you look at me? 4, 5, 6, tell me when will you miss? 7, 8, 9, no it ain't fine.
It's a subtle sort of change here between modern and classic, but I feel like classic is giving me this extra sense of depth across my mix. Pay attention to, I heard it on the kick drum. The kick drum felt deeper as I switched to the classic setting here, but it also kind of comes through a little bit on the vocals. So take a listen, kick drum and vocals here as I switch between modern and classic. So starting with classic and then I'll switch to modern.
1, 2, 3, won't you look at me? 4, 5, 6, tell me when will you miss? 7, 8, 9, no it ain't fine. Town I can pretend. 1, 2, 3, won't you look at me?
It's subtle, but it feels like it's adding depth there. Let's try pushing up our gold knob now and see what this does to our track.
1, 2, 3, won't you look at me? 4, 5, 6, tell me when will you miss? 7, 8, 9, no it ain't fine. Town I can pretend. 1, 2, 3, won't you look at me? 4, 5, 6, tell me when will you miss? 7, 8, 9, no it ain't fine.
So by the looks of it, it looks like it's some low-level compression. As we push the gold knob up, it seems to bring up our low-level energy and push it up towards our ceiling, which is really, really cool. It's giving us some sort of compression style settings. It's definitely adding gain. So let's click on the unity knob here and see if that keeps us at unity gain as we push up the gold. So we can just hear what it's doing tone-wise, frequency-wise.
1, 2, 3, won't you look at me? 4, 5, 6, tell me when will you miss? 7, 8, 9, no it ain't fine. Town I can pretend. 1, 2, 3, won't you look at me? 4, 5, 6, tell me when will you miss?
So it definitely gives some compression vibes here. It's all I have. I've been cranking all the way up and all the way back down to see what drastic change it gives. and it feels like it's pushing everything together in the mix. So I'm gonna dial it back and see if we can get it in a place where it sounds where it's tasteful and it adds to the mix.
1, 2, 3, won't you look at me? 4, 5, 6, tell me when will you miss? 7, 8, 9, no it ain't fine. 10, I can pretend. 1, 2, 3, won't you look at me? 4, 5, 6, tell me when will you miss? 7, 8, 9, no it ain't fine. 10, I can pretend. 1, 2, 3, won't you look at me?
It's kind of giving me the vibe of like a mix bus compressor. As we kind of set this in place, and I was bypassing and unbypassing the plugin here, it felt like it was gluing all the pieces of the mix together. So taking it from being individual tracks just level balanced together to being one finished song, just one track working together. Listen one more time as I bypass and unbypass the plugin here. So we'll start without it, and then I'll click it in. Listen to how it kind of glues everything together in the track.
1, 2, 3, won't you look at me? 4, 5, 6, tell me when will you miss? 7, 8, 9, no it ain't fine. 10, I can pretend. 1, 2, 3, won't you look at me? 4, 5, 6, tell me when will you miss? 7, 8, 9, no it ain't fine.
Really nice, really smooth. And I like the way the track is coming together inside this plugin here. It's very tasteful, very smooth sounding. Now the last thing we have here is this alchemy knob. And I'm not quite sure what this does, so let's dial it up and kind of see what we can get with this knob here as we dial it up in the mix.
1, 2, 3, won't you look at me? 4, 5, 6, tell me when will you miss? 7, 8, 9, no it ain't fine. 10, I can pretend. 1, 2, 3, won't you look at me? 4, 5, 6, tell me when will you miss? 7, 8, 9, no it ain't fine. 10, I can pretend. 1, 2, 3, won't you look at me? 4, 5, 6, tell me when will you miss? 7, 8, 9, no it ain't fine. 10, I can pretend. 1, 2, 3, won't you look at me? 4, 5, 6, tell me when will you miss?
It's subtle, but it feels like an extra level of roundness and smoothness, maybe to compensate for the clipping that's going on. So you have like the ozone settings where you get some of the transient back, some transient retention. It gives me some of that type of feeling, but also adds more of that analog roundness, rolls off some of that digital edge. So it's, as you're pushing into the ceiling here on more analog units, they take that push a little bit better. In a digital setting, as you push more and more into a ceiling, you start to get that digital sort of distortion, that digital clipping. That's not pleasing to the ear. It can get harsh, it can get pokey. This feels like it adds some of that analog feel, that roundness, some of the transient retention back. Let's listen one more time, and we'll kind of dial it in to set it inside the track.
1, 2, 3, won't you look at me? 4, 5, 6, tell me when will you miss? 7, 8, 9, no it ain't fine. 10, I can pretend. 1, 2, 3, won't you look at me? 4, 5, 6, tell me when will you
I'm digging that. That's sounding really, really nice on the mix here. Like I said, the last thing I want to try is seeing if we can set it in place of the limiter here. So I'm going to turn off my limiter at the end of the chain. So all we're doing with my limiter is adding that 6 dB of gain to get it up to commercial level. Now I've been running the gold clip unity. So pushing 6 dB up into the ceiling and then pulling 6 dB out on the output to keep the level the same in and out of the clipping plugin here. I'm going to turn off my limiter, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring the output back up here. So I'll unlink these to the input and output, and I'm going to bring the output back up and see if we're staying pretty good here and maybe not clipping the master bus, even though we're clipping inside the plugin here. So let's see.
1, 2, 3, won't you look at me? 4, 5, 6, tell me when will you miss? 7, 8, 9, no it ain't fine. 10, I can pretend. 1, 2, 3, won't you look at me? 4, 5, 6, tell me when will you miss? 7, 8, 9, no it ain't fine. 10, I can pretend. 1, 2, 3, won't you look at me? 4, 5, 6, tell me when will you miss? 7, 8, 9, no it ain't fine. 10, I can pretend. 1, 2, 3, won't you look at me? 4, 5.
So in this instance here, I turned unity back off here and we gained an extra dB of volume as we pushed into our output here, and we're not peaking. We're hitting right at that ceiling now, which is actually really, really cool. So I feel confident that I could use this in place of my limiter at the end of my chain because it's not going over the ceiling here. And I'm going to flip back to peak RMS on my output meter and see if we're getting the same reading on the output inside of Studio One here. Let's see.
1, 2, 3, won't you look at me? 4, 5, 6, tell me when will you miss? 7, 8, 9, no it ain't fine. 10, I can pretend. 1, 2, 3, won't you look at me? 4, 5, 6, tell me when will you miss? 7, 8, 9, no it ain't fine. 10, I can pretend.
That's really, really nice. It's not a hard ceiling. It looks like we push over it a little bit here and there. So it's not a brick wall. It's not designed to be a brick wall limiter here. It's designed to be a clipper. So I could use it to get that volume. It's going to give me a more tasteful, a more vintage, more analog style volume boost than, say, a digital limiter here. Now, there's nothing wrong, of course, with the digital limiter inside your DAW, but if there is a weak point inside stock plugins, it's usually going to be stock limiters or digital limiters. Now, we're inside of Studio One here, so their limiter is phenomenal. I use it on across all of my mixes here. But what I would actually do if I'm using this plugin in this limiter style here to get gain from it, I would set the Studio One limiter after it. So I would get my gold clip in place the way I have it set here, and then maybe set Studio One's limiter after it. If I need to add any gain, I could, but I'm already pushing towards that -1 ceiling, and I'm setting my mix right where I want it volume-wise. I would just set the ceiling up on the Studio One limiter to give me that brick wall limiter setting to make sure I'm not pushing any peaks over my ceiling where I have it set inside of Gold Clip here. But getting the more tasteful sort of volume out of Gold Clip is really, really nice. So let's listen one more time here, and I'll do a full A/B of our Gold Clip plugin. I'm going to set this back to Unity here, and we'll turn our limiter back on just so we're hearing the effects of just the Gold Clip without the volume gain on the output here. And let's see what we're getting.
1, 2, 3, won't you look at me?
So if you are looking to get into the clipping gain and you're looking for something to give you maybe that analog sort of vibe, the old Lavery Gold type of setting, definitely consider Gold Clip here. I love the different settings they built into it, very intuitive. The max clip and showing you where it happens, the different unity gains and linking functions are all very, very tasteful, and it gives you a lot of analog vibe to help out mixing inside of the box. I hope that was interesting for you. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, if you're ready to take your mixes to the next level and really start dialing in your workflow as an engineer, then I have just the tool for you, and it is completely free. It is my 7-step mixing checklist, and you can download it below to start creating more professional mixes in less time. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.